Most people believe that weight gain is simply about eating too much and moving too little, but that belief is incomplete, and sometimes it's what keeps people stuck for years. Because visceral fat, the dangerous fat that wraps around your internal organs, behaves very differently. It is not just sitting there because of excess calories. It is being actively supported, even protected by what's happening inside your body, especially inflammation. And inflammation doesn't start randomly. It starts with what you put on your plate every single day. Think about a typical routine: a sugary drink in the morning because you're in a rush, processed snacks in the afternoon because you're tired, late night refined carbs because it feels comforting after a long day. In those moments, it doesn't feel harmful. It feels normal. It feels deserved. But inside your body, something very different is happening. Your blood sugar spikes. Your insulin rises. Your system goes into a state of stress. And over time, that stress turns into chronic inflammation. Now, here's where it becomes serious, because inflammation doesn't just make you feel tired or sluggish. It creates the perfect environment for visceral fat to grow. It tells your body to store more fat, especially deep in your abdomen, and makes it harder to burn it. It's like silently feeding the very thing you're trying to get rid of. But here's the part that changes everything. The same way food can create inflammation, it can also reduce it. Your body is constantly responding. It's not passive. It's listening, adapting, reacting. And when you begin to give it the right signals, it begins to shift. Take something as simple as green tea. It's not just a drink. It contains natural compounds called catechins that have been shown to increase fat oxidation and reduce inflammation. In cultures where green tea is consumed daily, there's a noticeable difference in metabolic health, not because of one magical habit, but because of small, consistent choices repeated over time. Or think about berries: blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. They are not just sweet snacks. They are loaded with antioxidants that protect your cells and calm the internal fire caused by poor diet and stress. When your body is less inflamed, it becomes more efficient. It processes nutrients better. It stabilizes blood sugar, and slowly it begins to let go of stored fat. There's a story that reflects this shift in a very real way. A man in his early 40s had been struggling with stubborn belly fat for years. He wasn't overeating. In fact, he often skipped meals, thinking that eating less would solve the problem. But his diet was filled with processed foods, sugary drinks, and quick fixes. His body was constantly inflamed, even if he didn't realize it. Instead of putting him on a strict diet, he made a few simple changes. He replaced his sugary snacks with a bowl of mixed berries. He started drinking green tea once, then twice a day. Nothing extreme, nothing overwhelming. But within weeks, something changed. His energy improved, his cravings reduced, and over time, his waistline began to shrink, not because he forced his body, but because he finally supported it. This is the shift most people miss. They try to fight their body instead of understanding it. They think discipline means restriction, when in reality, true discipline is about choosing what nourishes you, because every bite you take is sending a message. It's either increasing inflammation or reducing it. It's either telling your body to store fat or to release it. And the powerful part is this: you don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to become aware of what your daily choices are doing beneath the surface. Because once you understand that, you stop eating on autopilot. You start eating with intention. And that's where real change begins. Your body is always communicating with you, even when you're not aware of it. Every time you eat something, it sends a signal deep into your system, telling your metabolism what to do next. And these signals are powerful. They can either push your body into storing fat, especially around your organs, or gently guide it into a state where it starts burning that fat for energy. The problem is, most people are unknowingly sending the wrong signals all day long. When you skip meals or rely on foods that are high in sugar and low in nutrients, your body feels uncertain. It doesn't know when the next source of energy is coming, so it goes into a protective mode. It slows down your metabolism, increases hunger hormones, and stores more fat, particularly visceral fat, because it sees it as a safety reserve. Now imagine shifting that signal. Instead of confusion, you give your body clarity. Instead of stress, you give it stability. And that begins with something as simple and as overlooked as protein. Take eggs, for example. They are not just a common breakfast item. They are a powerful metabolic signal. When you start your day with eggs, you're telling your body you are nourished, you are safe. You don't need to store excess fat. Protein helps maintain muscle, and muscle is one of the most important tissues for burning calories efficiently. But even beyond that, protein keeps you full in a way that processed foods never can. There was a young man who used to start his day with sugary tea and biscuits. By mid-morning, he would feel tired, distracted, and hungry again. It became a cycle: eat, crash, crave, repeat. When he switched to a breakfast that included eggs, something subtle but powerful changed. He didn't feel that sudden crash. His focus improved. And without even trying, he started eating less throughout the day, because his body wasn't constantly asking for more fuel. That's the difference between feeding your hunger and satisfying your body. And then there are healthy fats, something many people still fear because they've been told for years that fat makes you fat. But not all fats are the same. Foods like avocado contain healthy fats that actually help regulate your appetite and balance your hormones. When you eat avocado, your body receives a signal of satisfaction. Your brain registers that you've had enough. Your blood sugar remains stable instead of spiking and crashing. And when your blood sugar is stable, your body doesn't feel the need to store extra fat. Instead, it begins to access the fat that's already there. Think about how many times cravings have controlled your decisions. Late night snacking, unplanned meals, that constant feeling of I need something even when you've already eaten, that's not a lack of willpower. That's your body responding to unstable signals. Now imagine a different experience. You eat a meal with protein and healthy fats. Hours pass and you're still satisfied. Your energy is steady. Your mind is clear. You're not thinking about food every moment. That's what it feels like when your body is in balance. There was a woman who struggled with emotional eating for years. She thought her problem was discipline. She blamed herself every time she gave in to cravings. But when she started including protein and healthy fats in her meals, eggs in the morning, avocado in the afternoon, her cravings didn't disappear overnight, but they became quieter, less urgent, more manageable. And over time, she realized something important. Her body was no longer fighting her. This is where the real transformation happens. Not in extreme diets or strict rules, but in understanding how your body responds to what you give it. Because your body is not trying to make things difficult for you. It's trying to protect you, and when you begin to send the right signals through consistent, nourishing foods, it responds in ways that feel almost effortless. You don't have to force fat loss. You guide it, you create the conditions where your body feels safe enough to let go of what it no longer needs. And that starts with the signals you send, one meal at a time. Most people don't fail because they don't know what to do. They fail because they believe change has to be dramatic to be meaningful. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect version of themselves that suddenly becomes disciplined overnight. And while they wait, days pass, weeks pass, and the quiet habits that built visceral fat in the first place continue without interruption. But the truth is far simpler and far more powerful. Your body does not respond to perfection. It responds to consistency. What you do once in a while has very little impact. What you do every single day quietly shapes your internal world, your metabolism, your hormones, your fat storage, your energy. And this is where small, almost unnoticeable choices begin to carry extraordinary weight. Take something as basic as adding leafy greens to your meals. Spinach, kale, simple vegetables that don't feel exciting, that don't give you an instant emotional reward like sugary foods do. Most people overlook them because they don't feel like a solution. They don't feel powerful. But inside your body, they are doing work that you cannot see. Leafy greens are rich in fiber, and that fiber feeds the beneficial bacteria living in your gut. Now, this may sound like a small detail, but your gut is deeply connected to how your body stores and burns fat. When your gut is imbalanced, when the wrong bacteria dominate, it increases inflammation, disrupts metabolism, and makes it easier for visceral fat to accumulate. But when you consistently feed your gut with fiber-rich foods, something begins to shift. The good bacteria grow stronger. Inflammation starts to decrease. Your digestion improves, and slowly your body becomes more efficient at using energy instead of storing it. There was a man who didn't change his entire lifestyle. He didn't follow a strict diet. All he did was make one commitment. Every day he would add a portion of vegetables to at least 2 of his meals. That was it. No pressure to be perfect. No complicated rules. And yet over time, his body responded. His bloating reduced. His energy became more stable. And gradually the fat around his midsection began to shrink. Not because he made a drastic change, but because he made a consistent one. This is where most people underestimate the power of repetition. They look for intensity when what they really need is persistence, because your body is always adapting. When you give it something once, it notices. When you give it something daily, it begins to trust. And when that trust builds, your body starts to change its behavior. Inflammation doesn't disappear overnight. Visceral fat doesn't melt away in a week. But every time you choose a food that supports your body, every time you repeat that choice, you are sending a message. And this is the new normal. And it's XT, and your body listens. There was a simple study where participants didn't follow extreme diets or intense workout programs. They only increased their daily fiber intake through whole foods. Over time, without strict calorie counting or restriction, they experienced a noticeable reduction in belly fat, not because they forced their bodies into change, but because they supported the natural systems that regulate fat storage. Think about that for a moment. No extremes, no suffering, just consistency. And this is where the emotional struggle begins to shift as well. Because when you stop chasing perfection, you remove the pressure that often leads to giving up. You no longer feel like one bad meal has ruined everything. You understand that one choice does not define your progress, your pattern does. Imagine waking up each day with a simple focus, not to be perfect, but to be consistent. A cup of green tea, a handful of berries, a meal that includes leafy greens. These actions may seem small, almost insignificant in the moment, but over weeks and months, they begin to reshape your body from the inside out. You start to feel lighter, not just physically, but mentally. You feel more in control, not because you're forcing yourself, but because your habits are finally aligned with your goals. And slowly, almost quietly, your body begins to let go of what it has been holding on to for so long. Not because you demanded it, but because you gave it a reason to.